our postmodern age of division, anger, anxiety, and confusion, the most dangerous weapon you have is your own mind.
Take control! Question everything!
This is the Intellectual Freedom Podcast.
I was walking through International Mall the other day, and for those of you who know Tampa or live in the Tampa Bay area, you definitely know this is one of the more high-end, bougie-type malls. Chanel, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Saint Laurent, Tesla's showroom in there. You know the type. All large metro areas, they have a place like this. It's a modern cathedral to consumerism, to glass and steel and perfect lighting and climate controlled to the exact degree. Lavender diffusers puffing out beauty scents as you walk past the organic smoothie shops selling wellness in a plastic cup. You see the designer clothing stores selling that high roller identity for $300 a shirt. You see the jewelry counters selling status in the form of diamonds and gold, extracted probably off the backs of child labor or slavery-level wages. You see the sneaker walls selling power, strength, belonging. All the models are young and beautiful and athletic, happy, enticing people that the new you is just around the corner. You just need the same shoes as Michael Jordan or LeBron James or any other high-profile athlete. And then 10 steps later, you hit the kiosk selling cheap plastic toys made overseas. Blinking, buzzing, already half broken probably before you even buy them. All of it exists right next to each other, seamlessly. Like it all makes perfect sense. But if you stop, if you actually slow down and look at it, none of it makes sense. It's entirely disconnected from anything real. The clothes are not about clothing anymore. They are costumes. You do not buy the heavy canvas jacket to chop wood like the model in the window. You buy it to signal to strangers that you identify with the aesthetic of chopping wood. Masculine, strong, independent, hardworking, man of the earth. Knowing after you buy it, you hang that jacket over the cheap office chair while you sit in your cubicle. Food isn't about nutrition. It's about morality. The products are not what they do. They're what they say about you. Organic, fresh, healthy, from the earth, eco-friendly, as the clerk rips open the freeze-wrapped packages, dropping in various man-made ingredients to make that healthy smoothie at the mall. Next time you're there in a mall, shopping center, just stop. Slow down. Observe people. And watch the whole spectacle from a detached observer perspective. The whole machine is wrapped in this incredibly soft emotional language. Everything is an experience. Everything is lifestyle. Everything is a passion. Everything is self-actualization. You earned it. You deserve it. You need to be your best self. For $69.99 Lululemon yoga pants, of course. Here's the undeniable truth of the modern age. The worse the reality underneath gets, the better the story on top becomes. We are plastering over a collapsing foundation with high-definition marketing. Once you see this, you start to see it everywhere. The ads, the news, the politics, the culture, reality gets thinner and the presentation gets thicker. Somewhere in that swap, something vital disappears. Everything starts to feel staged. Not fake in the obvious sense, fake in the deep structural sense. You are surrounded by things that look real, but do not actually connect to anything solid underneath. It's a facade. It's a game. It's a, how do I say it? An illusion. And ones that are losing are the common people, you and I, sucked into this vortex. This horrible vortex of always going to have a car payment. Got to go in debt to get that college degree. Going to have that home mortgage for the rest of my life. I see now that they are trying to push a 50-year mortgage as if 30 years of bondage isn't enough. Let's raise the prices so high that we're now going to pay off debt for 50 years on a home. Live your dream with that Discover card. All the while, deep inside, we get softer, weaker, less aware. But on the outside, doesn't life just look grand as blinky blink go the billboards and the storefronts? Let me pause right here for one moment. I'm Dr. David Hopkins, and I want to welcome you for the first time or welcome you back to the Intellectual Freedom Podcast. And we are in the third part of our 4-part series on the book Against the Machine by Paul Kingsnorth. And what a ride it's been. And I don't like to get myself in trouble. I really don't. But once again, this podcast is probably going to be touching some nerves for some of you. Look, you should know me by now, but today we do have to go there and get a bit political. I do believe most people who listen have thick enough skin when I take them off a bit. They know in the end, I always respect you and your personal views on things, even though we may not agree on everything. But hey, the dreaded topics of politics and religion, they do show up in this particular episode. And if you've been reading the book, you know for sure that Kingsnorth even goes deeper and harder into these topics than even I do, but we simply can't avoid it. So there ends my disclaimer. There won't be another. So if you are ultra sensitive about politics or religion or hearing discussions on those things, which we'll take from the author's perspective, I never want you to take my opinion just because we're breaking down a book. And so we're going to discuss these from the perspective of our author, Mr. Kingsnorth. But if this isn't your kind of thing, it's probably great spot for you to retreat and bow out. And hey, I hope you come back on another day when we take on some other topics. Okay, with that, let's get going. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. There is a low-level hum of stress, anxiety, and uncertainty in our culture right now. That's not breaking news, right? It's kind of it's hard to describe. It's, I don't know, quiet, lingering sense that things just aren't quite right. They're unsettled. They're uneasy. The feeling that things are falling apart. That what you're seeing is not the whole story. From what we hear in the media and the politicians and all around us, we can all feel it. You don't need a theory to understand this. You don't need a philosophy degree. You just sort of feel it. You just need to be kind of paying attention. But most people feel that discomfort and they immediately start pointing fingers. It's a common human trait for us to do that. They'll blame the technology. They'll blame capitalism. They'll blame the politicians. They blame those other people over there on that side, in that country. But I want to challenge you with something here that actually misses the mark. It's deeper than politics. Nicholas Gomez David not a well-known philosopher, once said, quote, "The modern world shall not be punished. It is the punishment," end quote. We like to think we are this super intelligent, enlightened society that's moving everything to progress. We like to think we outgrew religion. It's a lie. It's a lie. I listen, I have certain podcasters I listen to, and I heard one the other day, this transhumanist BS. My gosh. My gosh. Just ridiculous. But let's face it. Since the beginning of a human walking the planet Earth, humans are fundamentally religious creatures. We, you and I, need meaning as much as we need oxygen. We need something bigger than ourselves. If you look at individuals in your life that you know that are the most self-absorbed, self-focused, only on their own things, how happy are they? How happy are they really? Let's drop the BS that I'm out to do the best for me at all times and that makes me happy. Wrong. It just generally doesn't work. Science shows us that the most self-absorbed people, the self-focused, the ones that think they got it all figured out are the least happy. We need something that tells us what is true. A guidepost, at least if it isn't true in a purely ethical, moral standpoint, something that tells us what matters. Sure. If you're an atheist or a nihilistic type, they'll tell you they don't need anything like a God external outside of themselves. But the truth is, if we honestly scan the entirety of humanity, that mentality almost always falls flat on its face. If we do not find a higher power, we manufacture one. Modern life is not the absence of religion. The problem is the replacement of it. So where does Kingsnorth go with this idea? Because you might be thinking, okay, so what does humanity, postmodern humanity, manufacture to replace religion? Well, Kingsnorth in the book, in this section, looks at 4 pillars holding up the culture of our world today, where religion has been replaced. And he calls them the 4 S's. S's in Sierra. And those 4 S's are science, sex, self, and screen. I'll say them one more time just so you can kind of absorb them if you're driving down the road or wherever you listen to this podcast. Science, sex, self, and screen. These are the 4 S's that society has come up with to replace religion. That's the architecture. Science tells you what is real, and if you even dream to say that there is some God out there outside of the realms of science, you're a fool. You're an idiot. You're just afraid to die. Sex tells you who you are. My goodness. And I am not going to get into all the detail of Kingsnorth and the trans movement and the sexual liberation and the sexual destruction that has occurred in the modern times. But sex obviously is changing the definition of who people actually are. And this is new. This is not something that was culturally widespread. Of course, always been gay and lesbian and transgenders. That would be silly to say not. But that tool of sexualization in the postmodern world is dangerous. The self tells you what matters. And if the focus is always on you, the world is about you. The things that happen are about you. And that kind of self-absorption, when you have a baby and they're growing up and they're 1 and then they're 2, they are 100% self-absorbed, right? They haven't had the opportunity yet to develop a wider perspective of things, and the whole world revolves around them and their activities. And it's cute when you're a little baby. It's not when you're a grown adult. It's not cute when you make everything about you when you're an adult. And when you have 4 billion, 5 billion people self-absorbed, that gets really ugly. The fourth S is screen. Screen delivers everything to us. The liturgy, the liturgy of science, sex, and self, it's all delivered to us right in our hand every day. It bombards us constantly. It's right in your hands. It's like a apparatus connected to you. It answers the same questions the ancient texts tried to answer, but it does it without demanding anything of you. There's no higher authority. You are in full control of everything. Whatever you think is good is good. Whatever you think is bad is bad. There's no fixed truth. There's no rules. At least it can't just be bended. No guidelines. No deference of yourself to a bigger or more important cause. Just you. You are the God of this new system. So really, honestly, pause for a second and think about it. How is that working out for us as a society, as a culture, as a global community? How well is science, sex, self, screen as the center of our postmodern age working for us? Most would say not very well. And that's the argument of Paul Kingsnorth. So this is where things start to bend. People look at the news and they think they're watching a war. They think it's left versus right, progressive versus conservative, the brave rebels versus the evil institutions. That's also a hallucination. What you're actually watching is a manufactured, cheap reality TV show. Think about this logic. Just 1 second. Humor me for a moment. What kind of grassroots, dangerous revolution is proudly sponsored by Nike, promoted by BP, with paid-for speakers and politicians giving rousing renditions of whatever cause, produced by Netflix and amplified by Facebook? My friends, that is not a rebellion. That's branding. That's machine-level branding. The modern activists and the corporate board of directors are swimming in the exact same river. They want the exact same thing. Endless self-creation, no limits, no nature, no grounding, just you. Just you becoming whatever you decide to be that day, fully supported by a $1 trillion plus supply chain that is absolutely thrilled to sell you whatever whatever costume you want to put on. And people feel this deep down. They feel that something is deeply, profoundly off, but they don't know what to do with that feeling. So they react. We react. These reactions are real human emotions, but we'll go through these stages, according to Kingsnorth, as we're so mired in the postmodern sludge of our culture. I don't want to call it stages of grief. It almost, when Kingsnorth writes these up, it almost feels like that. The first stage, he says, underneath all the anger on the internet right now, there is grief. We are, in many ways, a culture that's mourning the loss of a foundation that we knocked down ourselves. We knocked it down by ourselves. The left mourns one version of loss, the right mourns another version of loss, but they're both fighting over the ruins. And when people feel that grief, they react. They react in one of three ways. One, the first instinct is to fight. You jump into this culture war. No, 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 this is wrong. People will scream on X and Facebook and wherever. Millions, tens of millions, if not billions, daily scroll, they type, they fight, they shoot memes at each other, they let their cortisol levels spike, reading, watching, scrolling. Pick a side and you throw some punches, some verbal punches. You defend what's yours. You try and educate the idiot on the other side who just is completely stupid and lost. But you don't escape that system that way. You just become fuel. The algorithm loves your anger. They want your anger. They want you to keep liking, scrolling when the other side is attacked. They want you mad at your neighbor. They want you mad at some indiscriminate other. They want you to label entire groups of people one thing or the other. That's the first instinct that you and I have to overcome if we want to beat this machine in our own lives. I'm not talking about globally, but we can only start with what we can control, and that's our own lives. The second instinct is to retreat. You want to buy land, get off the grid, ignore the collapse. I completely understand that, but you just surrender the field and say, peace out, I'm done with you. You leave the rest, the rest of the people to deal with the mess. Heck, you may have already tried the red pill, the blue pill, rejected it, have gone full black pill and checked out. I think in many ways, if I'm going to be honest and transparent with you, I'm pretty much there myself. I just don't want to be bothered by the culture wars, the identity politics, the political infighting and the blaming. It's just tiresome. I flinch and get that icky feeling in my stomach every time I hear a politician blathering, blaming, name-calling the other side for all the ills of society and the end of democracy's coming. I feel like I need a shower. Hearing ideological talking heads who make their bank off the backs of anger, rage, and tribalism. Most of the time, I just have to tune it out, or else it'd bring me back to that first instinct of anger, which is to fight. But then Kingsnorth says you could move to a third instinct. In many ways, this might be the apex, I guess. It's still not perfect, still not wonderful, but Kingsnorth says, you look at the culture and you say, I do not like what is happening, but I understand why it is happening. The culture we are mourning is broken. And sadly, that spiritual core of our culture, our Western culture, has been rotting for decades. It's not new. You cannot fix a collapsing bridge by putting a new coat of paint on or you can't fix a building, a house, a collapsing house by putting new drywall on it or paint. See, on the surface, it may feel like this is full out surrender, but hear me out. As reading Kingsnorth, I can more deeply appreciate the move to that instinct on stage 3. So the only question that really matters is how you live inside the machine. I want to repeat that one more time. So the only thing that matters is how you live inside it. The machine wants you angry. It wants you to react. It wants you to be constantly agitated. But the truth is, you have to become a different kind of warrior. The warrior that will clean up their own life first. You face your own weaknesses. You get your own house in order. You learn how to stand your ground without becoming bitter or angry. There's an ancient directive to this. You're obliged to avoid folly and live your life in order. And, if you do not put your life in order, the machine will do it for you. Those 4 pillars I mentioned, science, sex, self, and screen, they're merging, actually. A new kind of human, one built on total customization. The end of that path is that word transhumanism, the belief that we can rewrite our nature, that technology is not just a tool, but a savior. We're trying to build God in Silicon Valley. It's the oldest story in human history. That word, remember the serpent in the garden? You will be like gods. And the trap always looks beautiful. Listen to how an ancient Orthodox thinker described the ultimate deception. He wrote that, quote, "The Antichrist will not come with a sword. He will come with solutions. He will offer mankind the most exalted earthly organization of well-being and prosperity. He will offer riches, luxury, physical comfort, and delight. He will reveal astonishing miracles, unexplainable by science. He will satisfy the worldly wise. He will satisfy the superstitious. He will confound human learning, and all men, alienated from the guidance of God, will be enticed into submission to the seducer." That lands differently today, but wow, what a quote. I'm always amazed by thinkers who lived centuries before, and I can read that and be like, oh my gosh, did he just write that in 2025 talking about AI? C.S. Lewis issued the same kind of warning. He told us to beware of systems that smile at us. He wrote, quote, "that of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep, but those who torment us for our, quote, own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience," end quote. This is not a political crisis that we are in. It is a technological crisis. Let me say that again. It's not a political crisis. Also, it is not a technical crisis. It's a spiritual war. The machine is not just something out there. It is something we are building, and it is something we are slowly becoming. The question is not whether the world feels fake. You already know it does, and it is. The question is, what kind of person are you going to be inside of it? But the real question that we will answer next week, I'm so looking forward to it, is this the kind of person, what kind of person can I be? What kind of a lifestyle, what kind of worldview can possibly get us out of this mess? Is it even possible? Because the tentacles are long and strong, and to break free from the bonds that are causing so many people anxiety, stress, depression, addiction, even suicide. I mean, really, we must change. And if we do not, we are going to first become slaves. And then secondly, we are going to be absorbed and forgotten as nothing more than simple cogs in this overpowering machine. So I can't wait till next week. It's the final episode in this series. So if you're reading along, awesome. Love it. Keep up with it. But today, if I can just leave you with anything, if you haven't read it and you're just listening in for the first time, I want to leave you with this. How do we, you and I, overcome this paradox of living large off the material culture? I love the material. There's too many times I love it too much. While simultaneously being stuck, dreaming small. We have so many material things here in the West. The machine is great about that, keeping us dialed in on the 4 S's, self, sex, science, screens. We got it all. But being sucked into this has caused such a horrid level of despair and division, or in the minimum anxiety and stress and worry, that the only person that can get you out of this is you. You. And I can't wait to talk about you and about solutions to this machine and what Kingsnorth puts forth for us to do. And I hope it's transformative for you.